G'day viewers, how are you?
How are you viewers? Thank you very much for letting us be on your device. You are nice, thank you.
And we're here at the end of another week. We've all made it. And that means it's time to look at what's totally fucked up for Totally Fucked Up Friday. And look, again, spoiled for choice. There are dozens of things we could talk about.
There are actually dozens of things we could talk about. But we could go around the world and have... This one took us 6 hours to make mentally because we were going, we can't do another 50-minute video.
I know some of you are probably disappointed at the idea that we won't talk for 50 minutes, but we've decided to single on one thing because there's a lot in this one thing. There's lots of talk.
It could go 50 minutes, but we're just going to do one.
Well, right, yeah.
Right.
So it's what's become known as the Cabinet Files. Our national broadcaster, the ABC, released, hey, we've got a hold of all these confidential cabinet documents. If you're not familiar with Australian political terms, the cabinet is all the ministers in the government.
So you got the executive of the government, the ones that make all the fuck off choices, right? The executive, like the executive.
So here it's the ministers for the various portfolios. Like in the US, it's your Secretary of State.
Them.
It's the people who are in charge of making the major policy decisions.
And, those guys.
A lot of the discussions they have are very sensitive.
And in fact, those discussions are sealed for 50 years.
I think it's 20. It's 20 or 30. Because this becomes relevant to the discussion we're going to have.
It does, actually.
Because we now know some things we shouldn't have known for another 20 years.
Yeah.
Because, these cabinet files landed in the hands of a news media organisation. And it's like, oh my God, all this stuff that we shouldn't know. And they were pretty responsible because they looked and went, well, these ones actually affect national security.
So we're not going to talk about that.
We're not going to tell you what's in them, but just that we've got some stuff that is really touchy, and we found it. And it's like, but who was the leaker? Who is Australia's Snowden? Who's Australia's Chelsea Manning? It's the new... Well, WikiLeaks is Australia's Julian Assange.
But he's still in the Ecuadorian embassy, so he doesn't count.
Yeah, but so who's our big leaker? Well, it turns out we can call these the Cabinet Files for two reasons. One is they are files relevant to various cabinet officers in various governments in Australia.
Ooh.
Second is they were found in a filing cabinet that was sold in a government surplus auction.
Ah.
So
Awkward.
Some numpty has actually gone, right, that filing cabinet looks old, and they've pulled and it's locked. And does anyone have a key to this?
Nah.
Well, it's obviously useless.
We'll throw it away.
We'll send it out to... We send out all our old furniture to an auction house who sell it off second-hand.
They sell it cheap, so you can get police cars, you can get ambulances, you can get fire trucks, but they take all the fire stuff off.
Yeah.
Which is really disappointing because I wanted a fire truck and Angry said you can have one but you can't have fire stuff. But now I can have fucking cabinet papers.
Yeah, you just basically rock up to one of these sales, and if it's like someone's desk with locked drawers or a filing cabinet that's locked and they go, we don't have keys, it's a mystery, buy it, because you never know what you're going to get. You might get a shit ton of top secret documents.
And they did.
And they did. And can you imagine who they had to go through? First, and it's turned out they have admitted it's the current Prime Minister's office that was responsible for this filing cabinet going off to this auction. So someone in the Prime Minister's office has just gone, a locked filing cabinet, what harm could that do?
In the Prime Minister's office, in the central decision point of all of the national security and top policy decisions of the country, that'll be useless, let's sell it off.
But also, this auction house, who is used to selling government material, gets a filing cabinet and goes,
it's locked
and we don't have a key. That's probably not a problem. Let's just sell it. Because if we break the lock, we probably can't sell it. And us being able to...
Not for as much, anyway.
Us being able to sell it is more important than knowing what's in it when we sell it.
Irony of ironies, if they'd have broken the lock, they could have sold it for a shit ton.
Exactly. They could have gone highest bidder from the media outlets.
Hey, China, what are you doing today?
But the funny thing is, like, okay, the ABC ended up with this, and they're being really quiet about exactly how they ended up with it. So whether it's
not saying
someone bought it and found it and said, I'm going to give this to ABC, I suspect there are people in the ABC who go to these government auctions and go, desk, are the drawers locked? No, they're not. I don't want it. Filing cabinet, is it locked? No, I don't want it. Wait, this is locked and you don't know what's in it and you'll sell it to me anyway?
I'll have that for 25, yeah. 25, 30, 30, and it's mine.
I suspect they actually have a policy.
Pulitzer Prize.
But anyway, yeah. ASIO, our spy agency, took it back. They stormed in at 1 o'clock in the morning. Even though
stormed.
The ABC
knocked on the door.
Would have just given it to them.
Can we have it back because we feel like dicks?
But it's really interesting the stuff they have released. It's stuff that covers multiple administrations: the Rudd administration, the Gillard administration, the Abbott administration, and the Turnbull administration. And in the Rudd years, it's shown that there were concerns around... Again, without going into too much details, there was this plan to put subsidised insulation into houses...
Everywhere in Australia.
Which would reduce energy bills.
It'd be great. It'd be great.
It got a bit cowboyish, and I think it was like there were 4 deaths in installations.
They used foil insulation. Guys didn't know what they were doing. They touched electrical wires and they died, right? So, problem.
Yeah. So, I mean, mind you, with the way the Liberals acted up about that, you'd think they'd be equally upset about the number of deaths on big building sites that their big donors own, but apparently not.
2 a week.
Yeah.
Every week.
So
across Australia, all the time.
So that's not a big issue. It's only a big issue if you can embarrass the other party.
Whatever.
And it did. It was badly managed. It was a big shitstorm, and they went, "Oh, go away." And the then Prime Minister Rudd always said he was never told there was a safety problem in the thing. Turns out that what's in these documents says, it doesn't specify, but it says there are critical problems and you're rushing this and we can't fix the problems with the artificial deadline you've put in. We suggest calming the fuck down. And this was ignored and it went ahead and the deaths happened. Now, apparently Rudd threatened to sue the ABC, saying, you can't say I was told there was safety problems because I wasn't. And the ABC actually
didn't say that.
They specifically said in their release, there's nothing to say these critical issues were safety, but we don't actually know what they meant. We just know that they said there are critical issues and you're rushing ahead and we don't think you should.
Which he did and did. So what's he suing for?
Yeah. So, but anyway... He feels a bit guilty on that and he's threatening to sue them or maybe is suing them. So there's that on him. There's, in the subsequent administration, Penny Wong, who was responsible for a lot of national security stuff, her office did not dispose of hundreds of top secret documents. That's the protocol. The documents exist in more than one place, but when you leave, you're supposed to destroy a whole bunch of documents.
Governments get elected in and out all the time. Happens all the time. In, out. When you leave your office as a minister, all the documents get pulped and burned.
Yeah.
Right? Doesn't matter what they are, they're gone.
And someone glossed over this in Penny Wong's office. And under the Westminster system, she's ultimately answerable for what happens in her office. Even though she said, no, up until the point you brought this out, nobody has ever said to me that there was some top secret documents. And this was uncovered by the incoming Abbott administration. And she's saying they never told me about this.
Which they probably didn't.
And because none of them have come out and said, yes, we did. So they probably didn't. It probably wasn't even regarded as that big a thing. But it was a protocol fuck-up.
A massive protocol fuck-up.
So
listen, guys, you can't leave. Look, if you've got a bank account, right? Sometimes the bank sends you your bank details in the mail. Still happens.
Yes.
Still happens, right? You don't then just leave your house if you're renting and go to a new house and leave all of your bank details for the last 4 years on the lounge room floor.
Not if you're smart, anyway.
Right? Well, it's true. Actually.
Yeah. I mean, I've found weird shit in houses I've moved into, put it that way.
So have I.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
It was this bloody long and floppy.
Yeah. So, that's a little embarrassing for Penny Wong. And then another one from the Rod Gillard era was their plans for the National Broadband Network. If you're in Australia, or if you know an Australian, you'll have heard people complain about how shitty our internet is.
No.
No?
You won't hear them complain because you can't fucking hear them complain because our internet is so shit you won't hear them.
Yeah. So, quite a while ago now, the then Communications Minister, Stephen Conroy, had this master plan for a rollout of high-speed cable to, like, fucking everywhere in
Gonna be
Australia.
Gonna be awesome.
We'd be then a world leader. It would open up all sorts of opportunities. It would have been fucking amazing. It was a great policy, but politics being politics, the opposition kept saying, no, it's not.
Nah, it's
But
fake.
anyway,
Don't do it, mate.
where it fell down was how the then Labor government thought, yeah, telcos will be on board with this. They'll do what we want rather than what they want. It was a little bit wishful thinking. And basically Conroy did fuck Telstra, the major telco, about the people who own a lot of the infrastructure. And Telstra just went, oh, so you're fucking us about then? You haven't seen fucking about, son. And so by the time Labor got voted out of office, basically none of the rollout had happened because they were still fighting with Telstra. And as a result, the incoming Libs could fuck it completely.
And they did.
They did it deliberately in the name of politics. Because politics being politics, and there's no one party that's guilty or innocent of this. It would have happened the same the other way. Labor had a good policy, so the Libs, by definition, had to say it was bad. They couldn't bring themselves to say, you know what, that's actually good.
That's
We're
actually
carrying
a
it
good
on.
idea. It could create jobs and wealth. No. Fuck that. We're going to kill it off.
Yeah.
And they wouldn't have been able to if this guy hadn't have fucked up and got the telcos offside. Because at some point, the data was going to have to go through the telcos.
And if he hadn't have pissed them off so they slowed down the ditch digging and cable laying and whatnot, enough of it would have been laid out that the fucking Libs couldn't have ripped it apart. But because he pissed off the telcos, the infrastructure wasn't in place, so they could fuck it. And, well, so now we're all fucked. Our standing in the world goes back and back and back all the time. Our internet shit. And these documents show the mentality was at best wishful thinking. I think it was almost magical thinking. It's like, they, who have all the fucking power in this situation, will just do what we want. We know what they want, and we'll say, no. And then they'll just magically do... it was just fucking mismanagement.
What's embarrassing, and of course, me and Angry are passionate about this NBN thing, the National Broadband Network, is because it would have made our lives fucking easier.
Right? The uploads and shit would be... I mean, there is still an NBN, and I'm one of the lucky ones who now am on one of the faster versions of it.
I'm not. Right? So, you don't see a lot of AIDSy videos because I've got to take them with my fucking telephone. Then I've got to compress them down to fuck nothing. Then I've got to phone them to Angry, who's then got to decompress them, edit them, and fucking load them himself. I can't load videos from my house. It's embarrassing. I'm the guy who lives in my block of flats who has to fix the internet. It's retarded. I get phone calls 3 times a day going, yeah, Wi-Fi's down again, man. Yeah, I know.
So like now I'm on the NBN here. A video, like these videos, used to take an hour or more to upload for me. And I was on one of the fastest internets that Australia had prior to the NBN. Now, they take like 10 minutes, which is fucking brilliant. But anyway, so I've got the list here of the major things.
I don't have the NBN because of fuck-ups made by our governments. I'm just saying.
No one's got their hands clean on this.
And I'm pissy about it.
There's some fun things like going back even further, prior to the Rudd government actually, there's some stuff on the Howard government where they were pushing really hard to remove the right to remain silent when you're being interviewed by the cops. Now, they were framing it specifically around terrorism, saying like, basically, I don't know, Well, actually, no. I know what the cops do when they don't want you to remain silent. It's not nice.
It's not nice.
It's not nice. But if they were... And they do that now when you have the legal right to remain silent.
If you'd have had that right removed, buddy, you'd be signing all kinds of fucking things.
Literal gloves off, electrodes on the scrot, and...
Bloody, trust me. You know, yeah. Aussie, the Queen of England, have invaded Poland twice and deserve to get cattle prods up my bum. Is that what you want me to say?
What blows my mind when you find out this, and this is just one aspect of what a fucking fascist Howard was. He wanted to make it a crime to say stuff that he thought was seditious. In other words, if you attacked the government, he could charge you with a crime. But
True story.
What really blows my mind is this was the party of free speech. The party of small government actually wanted to be a fucking fascist state. It's absolutely ridiculous.
At the time that this happened, I was a working comic. And the working comics had a big meeting, and we had actual lawyers come... Oh,
it's a frame.
Fuck, I was out of frame. Oh,
you were wandering off to the side.
It's the drugs that I'm not on anymore. 12 months. Anyway, basically, we had a big meeting of the working comics, and we had a policeman, and we had a QC, and we had a solicitor and a barrister there addressing us about this and saying, guys, if you say jokes about the government under this proposed law, the way it's written, you can go to jail.
Yeah.
And you've got to know that.
Yes.
And if you want to keep on doing political comedy, you've got to understand that that's the reality of it.
Yeah.
And then, now, because it's years later, I can say it, the Commissioner of Police stood up and said, and if any one of my boys arrests you, he will be fired. And then the QC got up and said, if any one of my judges puts you in jail, he will be fired. And the barrister said, if any one of you gets arrested, you will have an army of lawyers ready to back your case. Yeah. Don't even go on your bank account. And the solicitor said, I know these guys. And everyone laughed. It was the best joke of the night.
Yeah.
And so... basically, Australia was turning around saying, go and get fucked. But it was a real law, and he really wanted it.
Yeah, and there's other fun things. Abbott... One we've talked about a few times is the Racial Vilification Act in Australia. And people go, Section 18C, that says it's an offence to offend, vilify, whatever, people based on who they are. And famously, a notorious blowhard piece of shit from the Murdoch media, Andrew Bolt, was convicted in court of racial vilification under that. And the reason was because he was lying.
Because he lied.
Yeah.
That's what he got
convicted
for.
And the judge just said, you don't have the defence of you were acting in good faith because you lied when you vilified these people and you knew you were lying, and so fuck you. And the government did this big push to change this. And it never got through because there was too much resistance, from everyone who wasn't a rich old white cunt, basically.
Everyone said, hang on, didn't he go down because he was a lying prick?
Yeah. And Bolt is on record as saying he was never consulted when the government was reviewing this. He said, no, because everyone said, well, they even pulled their mate Bolt in and say, can we do something special for you? And he goes, no, that never happened. Ha! Cabinet papers, he is specifically named. He is, in fact, the only individual specifically named when they talk about who they consulted. They went, we went to different ethnic groups, the Jewish community, the media, lawyers, and, in fact, Andrew Bolt himself was consulted. So, I mean, it's not a big deal that he's a lying fucking prick, but it's just kind of funny that he's been caught out again being a lying fucking prick.
So, when you see this guy on TV saying stuff, go, I wonder if his lips are moving.
And there's other fun times from the Abbott regime. We mentioned the Royal Commission into the insulation. Kevin Rudd's upset that there's an implication that he was actually told of some risks, even though we don't know what those risks were. What happened in the Royal Commission is Tony Abbott actually provided some cabinet documents from the previous government to the Royal Commission. Now, this is completely against protocol. Not illegal per se, but it's a general rule that a government can only work with confidence if someone's not going to fuck them over afterwards.
You can't have a secret national security meeting in your cabinet with your secretaries of state if the very next government is going to take those meetings and make them public.
Yeah. And this wasn't as big a deal, but it was still cabinet documents. And Abbott and his cronies at the time said, nah, the Commonwealth solicitors said this was completely legit. The cabinet files have revealed that was a fucking lie. Every legal advice he got was don't do this.
Don't do it.
Do not do it. And in fact, most of his own ministers were like, dude, that's dodgy as fuck. You've opened the door. Someone will just do it to us. So it's not just that they did it. It was against a centuries protocol and it was a dick move. But they lied when they said their legal advice was they should do it. Because the cabinet documents that we've now had revealed show they were categorically told in their legal advice, do not do this. This is a bad idea. There's no precedent for doing this. This is bad.
Point of order, Angry.
Yes.
By doing that, as the Prime Minister of Australia, by saying that, he lied to the Parliament and the people of Australia, which is a case of treason.
Yeah, and if he was anything more than an annoying backbencher dickwad now, if he was any sort of minister at the moment, he'd be out of a job straight up. This revelation of lying to the Parliament and the people would be... And I mean, there were just fun things that we kind of knew, but this confirms, like, their planned welfare cuts was for anyone... They had this sliding scale of things they were considering, and it was targeting under 30s who were unemployed. And it went from, if you're under 30, you can't get any unemployment benefit at all.
At all.
Under any circumstances. Some where you can only get some if you had a job previously. Some...
So hang on. You can't get a job, so you can't get any welfare. So how are you going to set yourself up to get a job? Oh, no, sorry. I'm obviously stupid and confused.
Yeah, and they were all things like they could force you to take a really, really shitty job. And it's just like... The best bit about that is not the revelation that they're a pack of cunts, because I think we already knew that.
We knew that bit.
But one of the key voices who spoke against it was actually a close factional ally of Tony Abbott's, one Kevin Andrews, hyper-conservative right-winger in the party. He looked at what Abbott was proposing and went, dude, no. He put it in this really nice terms of, I don't think we have a factual basis for selling this. In other words, it's just, people are just going to think we're utter fucking pricks. This won't lower unemployment. This won't increase employment. This won't help anyone. This is just vicious, nasty shit.
And the ridiculous part is, right, people think that the Australian welfare system is all about peace and love and brotherhood. It's not. It's actually about stopping blood running in the streets. Remember, most of the white guys in the country are born from criminal stock. Right? Remember, the black guys were here first and they were very into nature, but the white guys were very into stealing shit and murdering people, right? And if you take away all kinds of means for them to exist, what you find, and what we found at the end of the First World War, because it actually happened, was the crime rate goes up and the Australians, the white guys, start fucking stealing shit and murdering people.
Read about, if you want a fun read about the razor gangs in Sydney in the 1920s.
That's what happened. That's why it happened.
The two female crime queen pins, Tilly and Meg, was it? Tilly Devine and Meg something. But yeah, they're pretty funny. And there's a great book that I read a few years ago about their main enforcer, a guy who was nicknamed Chow Hayes. And the book's just called Gunman, because Chow Hayes was just the scariest motherfucker on the street. Man. They were called razor gangs because having a firearm was an incredibly serious offence.
Illegal.
But you can fuck people up badly with a straight razor.
Because people would have a personal grooming device to make sure they could shave and cut you the fuck up.
The number of people in Sydney in the 20s who had horrific fucking scars on their face. Because one of these standover men just went, "You're very bad."
Come on.
Let's widen that smile a bit.
Just a little bit more, Mr. Joker. That's where it comes from. Anyway.
So that and the lead up to the Great Depression
basically
built our modern welfare ideas.
Basically, the Australian government said if we don't give these people some money to live, they will kill us. And also they discovered that you can support local economies by making sure that enough people have enough to eat. They give you just enough to pay rent and to eat. And basically, poor people spend all of their money locally. And the developer class came through, and with the help of the banks and the developers, a new industry, which was the rental investment industry, was born, because the poor people had to rent houses. And if you had enough to buy another house, you could get a poor person in there and they would spend all their money on rent, and you had an income for life. And it's worked wonderfully for like 80 years now. 80-something years now. And it works really well. And again, they try and fuck with it. And it goes pear-shaped. Yeah. Who knew?
But I do particularly love that it wasn't one of the bleeding hearts from the Liberal Party that told Abbott not to be mean. It was one of his own hyper-conservative allies that says, I don't think you're thinking this through.
Dude, I like to live. Yeah. It's good. I like being alive. It's a thing. Yeah, it's a thing.
This would have fucked up really badly. So it's like absolutely fantastic. We know this stuff just because people are fucking stupid. And there was another story just before we came in. I saw one of the other media outlets, the Canberra Times, contacted the Defence Department to go, hey, look, someone handed us in a notebook that's got secret shit in it and 3 security passes, including one that gave you top secret clearance. And the Defence Department verified this stuff was real. And they've gone, the person in question, and there was a personal letter identifying who the fuck was responsible for it. And they've gone, it appears that the person in question left that in an item of furniture that they disposed of. So it's like their desk or something they've chucked out on the nature strip for hard waste day, and it's got top secret material in it.
Wasn't reported stolen or missing.
No! The person either didn't know they'd fucking lost it, or knew and hoped no one would ever find out. And it's just like...
It's Canberra. People find shit like this on bus seats and park benches all the time. It happens all the time. And the fucking protocol in Canberra is you take it and put it in a postbox.
People are just used to it.
People are so used to it, they go, that would be national security. I better not have my fingerprints on that, so you wipe it. Yeah. And you put it in a postbox and fucking walk away.
Could you imagine being an Australian ally who on occasion shares sensitive material, seeing this and going, for real? You really? Just give it away?
Just really?
You just give it away? That's what you do?
That's not really what we were about. We think that the meeting we were going to have about security is going to be postponed.
And look, to round off, the message we want you to take home from this, if you're the sort of person who's paranoid about conspiracies, the Illuminati, One World Government, the Bilderberg Group, vast shadowy conspiracies, they're not real.
Don't.
Because people are just too fucking incompetent.
Thanks.